What's going on, Canes fans? Peter Ariz here, live from the Miami Hurricanes team store. D-Money will be joining me momentarily, as well as Steveo at 365 Canes Info. And it's game day, our pregame show here. Again, live from the Miami Hurricanes team store. The Cam Ward collection, it's here. You got to stop by to grab it. It's the hottest item. Everyone's been waiting for it. He's got his jersey here with the Ward on the back, the number 1. So come and grab it here at the Miami Hurricanes team store. But again, breaking down this game tonight, answering your questions, Miami, Virginia Tech, the ACC opener for the Canes tonight. Again, great start to the season, 4-0, but got to keep it rolling here in ACC play. As last year, we saw what happened against Georgia Tech. We all believe this is a way different team, way different feeling around it, but got to get it done tonight. And with that, I'm going to bring in our boy Steveo at 365. Canes Info, 365 Canes Football. What's going on, Steve? How you doing today?
Big chilling. I love these type of games. Friday night games. I got the day off, just ready to lock in. Only game on prime time, and it's just time.
Yeah, man, excited. Obviously, the competition that Miami's played up to this point hasn't exactly been the toughest, right? So still a lot for them to prove as the season goes on. Not sure that tonight is going to be the toughest test necessarily either, but definitely some things to look at with Virginia Tech, as we'll get into here over the course of this show, that could potentially cause some issues for the Canes. But man, when you talk about these first 4 games, right, and we've had you on a couple times breaking down certain things, but what has been offensively, because for those of you who don't know, Steveo does incredible film breakdowns, real analysis. He really breaks down the X's and O's of the game and what's going on. And you can find that on his YouTube page. You can find that on Canes Inside as well. But offensively, because I know, man, these breakdowns were tough for you to do over the last few years, man, the way that things were shaking out offensively. But you being a big receivers guy, big in the passing game, talk to us about, obviously Cam Ward has been Cam Ward, but conceptually and things of that nature, what's been different about what's going on this season?
One thing that probably people wouldn't notice, or the first thing you think of, but we've, our starting left guard and our starting left tackle, haven't been in since game 1. And the pass blocking has been tremendous. I have something coming out on Matthew McCoy on Canes Insight, and we're probably right after this show. And that's really what it is. And Markel Bell, who stepped up for Jalen Rivers, the pass blocking has been tremendous. Cam Ward, while, there's been times where he's taken some hits and we're like, oh man, we don't want these type of hits. Those are usually when he's trying to, extend plays outside the pocket, and we see him take some necessary hits. His jersey has been kept clean. I think the pass protection has been awesome. I think everybody knew we had the weapons. I've been telling people about Horton now for years. He's super smooth player. Glad to see that. But with keeping Cam Ward upright, and he doesn't have to watch the rush, and he could just allow his weapons. You have tight end room, who's now responded after last year. We're 5 deep at receiver with viable pass catchers and with young bucks that can come in and have yet to prove themselves, but we know that their time is coming. So really, to me, that sticks out is the pass protection. A lot of Canes fans are wondering where's the running game. I do understand, but they're loading the box on us for some reason and allowing Cam Ward to have one-on-one situations. So if, I get it, the Heisman campaign, people say we're just stat padding for that, but that's really what the defense is giving us. They're loading the box. They're doing 7-man, 8-man fronts and leaving one-on-one coverage with Restrepo downfield or Sam Brown downfield or somebody's downfield, Isaiah Horton downfield one-on-one. If they're going to do that, then we're going to go ahead and air it out on them. But I do think what gets lost in that is the offensive line. It's a mindset. When you're running the ball, it's a different type of thing when you're passing it so much. So I think, if we could settle down and the defense dictates, that, hey, we're going to run the football a little bit more. They go too high safeties. They do stuff like that. I'm really going to be looking at that attitude of the offensive line because so far it's been pass, protect.
Just get to a question real quick. Shad asking if we're on YouTube. I'm not sure if he's asking about Canes Insight or you, Steveo, but yes, we're both on YouTube at 365 Canes Info on there. Or is it at 365 Canes Football?
Canes people
know. Yeah, so
yes,
365
sir.
Canes Football. And then our show, yes, it is on YouTube as well on Canes Insight. And yes, D Money is here. He's trying to get his computer set up. So as soon as he's ready to go, he'll be hopping on the live as well. Steve, you mentioned how teams have been loading the box, and that's been a big discussion this week. And you kind of said it like, okay, why would you want to do that against Cam Ward and the weapons that they have, right? So can you kind of explain to the people how things could potentially change if we start to see more of a 2 high safety look, and where would you expect Miami's offense to attack at that point?
I mean, I for one, as a receiver, when people say, "Oh, they go 2 safety high," people automatically assume there is no deep ball. But I love bombing at 2 safety high. Sam Brown just did it. USF was in man coverage the whole game, was getting killed. They switched to a cover 2 look, and Sam Brown, did a great job running his route to the leverage on the outside. Didn't let the corner reroute him so he could get to the spot before the safety. So we could still make big plays down the field, but they're going to be closer to the sideline or deep in the middle on post route. So I know, Canes fans, might go, "Oh, 2 safeties high," but we could still run the football and take shots downfield, deep posts, deep sideline balls on fades, stuff like that, back shoulder, even pocket window throws. But I do expect for us, to go to more pistol sets and get Damian Martinez going north and south a little bit more in the run game. If teams start to go ahead and back up and play coverage, like a deeper coverage, just because Cam Ward's picked them apart. Now this is game 5. They got it on 4 games now that, hey, if you let this guy throw the ball, he's going to toss it for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Like, he's going to do it before halftime. I think, obviously we're stepping up. We're going against Power 4 athletes, and step up in competition. But I'm pretty sure, athlete for athlete at every position, we're in a better position. So if I'm VTech, I'm definitely thinking, hey, let's try to keep the cap on these guys, not and live to fight another down.
What are your thoughts on what we've seen from the run game thus far? Because obviously there has been success. It hasn't necessarily been, a ground and pound style of offense, which, they're the 3rd highest scoring offense in the country right now. So obviously that hasn't seemed to be hurting them. But are you seeing positive things from the run game, and where do you think there's still some room for improvement there?
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie to you guys and be like, "Oh my God, I see this and this in the run game." But just as a fan, think about the short yardage situations where we've run the football and we've been successfully able to pick up and convert those down. So that means when we need to run the football, we've been successful. Damian Martinez on the goal line, he wasn't getting touchdowns on 3rd and 4th and goal. He's getting it on 1st and goal. So yeah, I get it. We're missing, the big running plays early, because shout out to AJ Allen. He's been giving us big running plays. Shout out to Jordan Lyle, gave us the 91 yarder. So we're starting to see these last few weeks some of these bigger runs, but when we've needed to run the football to convert to score on the goal line, we've been able to run the football. So I understand where Canes fans are coming from, but it's when situational football, we need to go to the running game. We've been able to do so with success. It's never been, damn, we should have threw the ball. We've never said that so far this season. So I get it, Canes fans, be patient. I am waiting for that Martinez breakout. Shout out to Jordan Lyle for that record-breaking run last week. But the running game is coming. It's just the coaches say pick your poison, and it really looks like that on film. It's not just coaches talk. If you're going to put 7, 8 guys in the box and leave our weapons one-on-one, that's what we're going to do to you. And then if you step up, it's over with.
Now, question here from Brandon asking keys to the game tonight. Also, chance of Bain tonight. We expect Bain has a very good chance of playing tonight, as we've heard all week, and Mario Cristobal has alluded to. Now, in terms of keys to the game, Steve-O, from what you've seen from Virginia Tech, that they've had their struggles this year, 2-2, with losses to Vanderbilt and Rutgers. Kyron Drones at quarterback, a lot of hype on him before the season, and he does have some physical ability, but hasn't had the best start to the season, either less than 60% completion percentage for his career. He's a guy who can hurt you with his legs a little bit, but very much like Byron Brown last week, and we saw Miami did to that. So from Virginia Tech, based on what you've seen, where do you potentially see them hurting the Hurricanes?
We got to stop the run. It's no 33, their running back. He's their best player. And he's not a guy who's going to go 80, 70 yards on you. He's going to get those 5, 6, 7 yards. He's going to, maybe make contact at 2 and go forward for another 2 or 3. He's going to move the chains. He's going to keep you ahead of the chains. That's the type of running back he is. He's a bruiser, and we need to, stop that run. When it comes to the quarterback drones, Ward's cousin, he's definitely had less time than his cousins in the pocket, and that definitely affects the percentage. And it's pressure from the interior. So I expect Akeem Mesidor, who came into his own last week, and we saw really what we expect to see from him, game in, game out. If Mesidor could have that type of game inside, versus some suspect offensive guard play from Virginia Tech, it can get to where it needs to get to. But I think really for us, stop the run, and also it contains the quarterback. If we're playing a lot of man coverage, we trust our defensive backs. Their backs are turned, so you got to make tackles in space if you're playing man. And I think that's really what it comes down to. As long as we make tackles in space, stop the run, it'll be fine. I really have no fear in their receiving core versus our defensive backs. I think it'll be a bounce back game for Derek Porter. I do have a prediction that OJ will get his first interception this weekend. So, it's nice. I don't fear nothing other than just stopping that run game and just making sure they don't get any cheap first downs, with the quarterback using his legs.
Steve, I said it in the show a couple times this week to D. I said, man, we've heard so many things about OJ Frederick's ball skills, but they don't even want to throw his way, right? So we haven't seen him get to show it off. But I got D Money ready here to join us, and he's also live here from the Miami Hurricanes team store. D.
What's going on, everybody? Sorry, just landed from New York, flew over here. Had to make it.
We can't hear you, D.
It's not working.
All right, so here it's a comedy errors over here. Hit audio. All right. Still don't hear him. Yeah. Well. All right. So we'll keep going without D for now. Well, look, D. I mean, you can honestly hop in and talk on mine too, D. But anyways, question here from Ronnie Graham: do you see JoJo or Ray Ray making an impact tonight? I know you've been seeing JoJo in the blocking game, Steve-O, but I think both of these guys. Look, Ray Ray continues to get opportunities as a punt returner as well. And look, even if you're not the man right now, a lot of these young dudes are getting an opportunity to be a part of the action, right?
Yeah, I do expect at some point in this game to see both of these young players getting burned because that's what we've seen so far when we're winning games so far this season, that they've gotten burned. So I expect it. Maybe it's a little closer than what people might like to think, but I would definitely assume Ray Ray's going to get manufactured touches on punt return immediately. And when he gets in the game, he's the type of receiver you're going to throw a screen to. You're going to give a jump pass, or you might throw a vertical shot to, like we saw versus Wall State. So he's a guy that they're going to try to get the football to, and they understand that, he's waiting in the wings. And then, JoJo, I do respect his blocking, and I would hope that makes them want to throw him a bone, so to speak, because when you earn it, you earn it. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see it. I would probably bet more on Ray Ray just because he's going to get more guaranteed touches, just because I think we're going to, suffocate their offense a little bit. So he's going to have his fair share of punt returns. And, if you make something happen with that, it's easy for the coach to say, hey, just stay out there. And, then you get the ball on offense. So I would probably go with Ray Ray, but I would love for both of them. I would love for, JoJo to maybe get his first career touchdown. Even Ray Ray, one of those two, that would be a big thing for us.
I mean, it looks like JoJo's been out there as the fifth receiver, right, in the rotation, technically.
Yep. So, that's why I said we're 5 deep at receiver. Yeah. I think – and 6 deep because I'm actually a fan of Shamar Kirk. So I should honestly say 6 deep.
So D Money's still trying to get his mic set up here, but again, we're live from the Miami Hurricanes team store. Place is packed already as people are filing in. Pregame Friday Night Lights here, Miami, Virginia Tech. I need the headphones. Sorry. All right. So, anyways, let's get to some more questions here. Trenton Breeze, man, shout out to Trenton Breeze. He's down here for the game, doing a great job with coverage. Made our pregame icon before the game here, and look, I'm telling the original Kane says, "Come on, Pete, let D Money get on the camera." I told him we can share the camera here. It's not a big deal. So
scooch over.
Yeah. So Steve-O, again, continuing to look at tonight's game, some injuries for Virginia Tech, but looking at some positives for them. Right, that D line has been disruptive. Top 10 in sacks. Obviously, it's a a strength for Miami up front, protecting the quarterback this year. But the secondary corners also pretty solid as well, right? So when you look at the game plan for tonight, based on what you've seen from Virginia Tech, the first few games of the season, how do you see Shannon Dawson attacking this defense?
I definitely think they're going to trust their defensive backs a little bit, but I don't think they're going to play man coverage to the amount that you saw USF play man coverage. It was staggering how much times they went out there. We had X open on like 3-4 wheel routes just because we're going to rub you if you want to you want to play man. We're going to line up in man beaters and we're going to call man beaters all day and we're going to let Cam Moore just joystick it. I just can't see Virginia Tech coming out and doing that because they want to run the football, control the clock, keep Cam Moore on the sideline. They're going to have to play. If you want to actually win this game, man, you can't go out there and play so much man coverage. They're going to probably play a little safer in zone. To be honest with you, maybe more 3s and 4s coverage, or like a 6 or something. They're going to make sure that they're as deep as the deepest man. Because they want to live the fight other down and slow the game down and control it with the clock because they're not going to win in a shootout. It's just not going to happen. The proof is in the pudding. Cam Ward's probably the best quarterback in college football. You're not going to win that shootout. So I would expect for them to play a little safer. Are they going to be aggressive and have some blitzes and play man coverage behind that? Of course they are. It's their identity. But you just, as a coach, you're not getting paid. I don't know how much they're paying, but you're not getting paid as an FBS coach to come out there and put your defense in a position to, that's not favorable to them. You're going to adapt to what the matchup is. So I expect them to play a little bit more safer, maybe some zone blitzes. And of course they're going to, play a little bit of man behind it, but there's no way, that they play as much man as Florida, Ball State, or, USF did. Because the proof is in the pudding. It was around this time last year, people started dropping 8 versus TVD. This film's out. So, hey, the film is out. You don't want to play prep.
And I was going to ask you about that because obviously, again, not to compare this year to last year, but because it has looked way different than years past, right? Even when Miami's gotten off to good starts record-wise. But when you look at the numbers and you compare it to what TVD had last year through the same time, and you look at what Cam Ward has, and again, it's looked different with Ward, but now that the film is out there, like you said, what wrinkles, if you can kind of, you mentioned more pistol, right? That's one thing that you said that you could potentially see. And let's just talk about some other wrinkles you see that could be thrown in there as the season goes on here.
I definitely think they're setting some like trick plays up, not trick plays, but I think they're setting up, we're going to have a screen and go on one of these things. Cause, I believe Chris Johnson, they've been playing it really smooth, getting him the ball quick in the 2 running back sets. It's really loaded backfield. So if you can make an impact as a receiver, we've seen him take, quick throws down to the house. Should have had a touchdown versus USF. That was one of the few throws that Cam Ward we've seen miss. Having a man coverage linebacker on you, bro. Like, come on. Teams are never going to do that again if Chris Johnson's in the field. They're going to have to check. Because there's no way you could put a linebacker on a 4-2 guy. It might even be faster than a 4-2 guy. It's like really insane how fast he is. So thinking about taking steps like that, moving forward, it just
yeah. I know it gets you excited. I mean, you saw last week Chris Johnson deep. Cam kind of he's got to throw that right. He's got to throw that really early, right? With that,
speed. You got to throw that you got to throw that like 5 yards just because of how fast he is. I mean, he's looking off the safety, trying to guarantee that he's not going to go help a linebacker. Everything Cam did, we know he's going to do, but just get that out just a tad bit earlier. I mean, it's a far throw, but the ball still went like 55 yards in the air, so it's not like, oh my God, he lollipopped it. It's just how fast Chris Johnson is. That's the next component to the offense. Going to be something else for people, to look at, study on film, and then again, we get 2 running back sets. That's gonna adjust how the defense calls their play because now you're going to put a linebacker in that situation where what if they swing him out? That linebacker not going to get there in time. So the more the merrier. The tape is out. So much weapon, so much speed. And Cam Ward honestly doesn't have a favorite. Restrepo has a lot of receptions, but it's been within the offense. I've yet to see like, oh man, he forced this ball to Restrepo. This is just X making a great play. He bailed Cam Ward out. I've yet to really honestly feel that way. And even Horton, the balls come to him naturally. He was hot last game, but he was open. There was not one of those passes that he threw, that were questionable
Or forced, yeah.
yeah, it's within the offense. So Cam Ward is really back there, really just distributing the football masterfully. As the receiver, you can't ask for more. If when it's your turn to get the football, you're gonna get the football. Sam Brown, wasn't getting much downfield shots. It was his turn. Got the football, perfect ball placement, big 76-yard touchdown. You could just trust Cam Ward to go back there and just literally put the ball where it has to be at. I know Coach Shannon Dawson has to be super excited because that relationship, I know, not to bring up last year, but, it does have to be strenuous when your QB's in the funk and your quarterback coach and OC. That's definitely something, not saying walking on eggshells, but that's a strenuous thing that you're trying to get your guy up. When everything's clicking and you guys, can finish each other's words, you guys are calling each other's plays, you guys are, basically anything Cam wants, it looks like he can get. So it has to be great for that relationship to see us come out these first 4 games and it be exactly like every Canes fan closed their eyes and dreamt of.
Shout out to the original Kane. He says ATL area Canes, Big Game Sports Bar tonight. So if you're in the Atlanta area, check out Big Game Sports Bar. It looks like there's gonna be a gathering of Canes fans over there. And Canes Cats Heat 305, one of our loyal viewers and watchers and listeners, says, what should we expect from Virginia Tech tonight? Look, Steveo said it at the jump. It's the only game on tonight at this time, prime time, Friday night, against a top 10 team in the country. If you're Virginia Tech, you've already lost 2 games this year, but it's also start of ACC play for them. So it's a clean slate, right? You'd have to imagine that they'll be as pumped up as anybody. Now, from Miami's perspective, I don't think Miami's going to be coming in there overlooking them either, especially the way that Coach Cristobal has kind of talked about the respect he has for the program, and we understand this is a a classic rivalry game and things of that nature. So I expect Virginia Tech to come out and play hard. It hasn't been a great start for Kyron Drones, but you know how it is the quarterback position, Steve-O. He has the tools. Like Graham Mertz, I don't know if he had the tools, right? Like, you look at Drones, and he has the ability to hurt Miami, that downfield. I don't know how consistent of a passer he is in the pocket, but a guy like him can kind of extend the play and make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, I expect them to play far. It's the first conference game. Your season's basically starting now. You still have everything to play for when it comes to getting in. Even with these 2 ugly losses, let's just say you magically run the table. And, if you win the ACC, you're in. So they have every right to want to be fired up. It's basically the start of the season. So I would expect Virginia Tech to come out and, play football. This is a rivalry game. People underestimate Virginia Tech because of how they've been, in the past couple of years. But if you're an outsider looking in, even a casual glance says, hey, they might be, coming around and getting better from the product they've been putting on the field. And even when they were slacking, so to say, they were always tough games. We can never take this game for granted. You don't want to take any game for granted. And the leadership, the self-accountability from the team, the coaches, everything tells me that they're going to take Virginia Tech as a serious opponent, like they should be, because it's the way to open up in style for ACC play. I would expect Virginia Tech come out fired up, really play that more keep away football, try to extend their drives, and take shots when they have opportunities to, and try to keep ahead. But I think it'll be off or not.
Steve, I'm gonna pull up your page here real quick. So if you guys aren't following Steve-O's YouTube page where he does all his breakdowns, 365 Canes football, and you see he has his Miami USF review, he has his Emry Williams Ball State review. So, I mean, you're getting stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else. And you teased it earlier, Steve, but you also have something on Matthew McCoy coming, right?
Yes, sir. I've been doing series, on about third-year players that have been making impacts. I have video of Ahmad Bowen, Isaiah Horton, and, the next third-year guys. There's not a lot of people that stayed from that transition class in 2022, but all the high school kids that did remain in that class, they are being developed and they are playing at a high level. Matthew McCoy, we talked about how the offensive line has been great in pass protection, no greater than him. And then when it comes to the running game, it hasn't been the best, but I'm telling you right now, they've been eating off that left guard spot. Running that way should two of the 3 touchdowns, I believe, from USF were Matthew McCoy's side, running up there from Damian Martinez. So love to see guys like that just sticking the course, being developed at Miami. We see what happens to schools up north that aren't developing their high school recruits, and that's eventually going to catch up to you.
Question here, another one, a good one from Kane's Cat C305. What position matchup are you watching tonight or focus on? For me personally, for as good as Miami's pass protection has been, it's still got to be Miami's O-line versus Virginia Tech's D-line, just because they are top 10 in the country in sacks. And there were some opportunities there, Steve-O. Let me tell you, against USF, where Cam Ward eluded some pressure, right? So I'm sure that Coach Mirabal and Coach Cristobal are still in the film room with these guys, letting them know, look, you guys haven't been perfect either. It's looked really good, but there's still room to improve. So for me personally, I think that's where I'm looking at, because it's probably the biggest test in terms of disruption up front there.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go, maybe not even a positional thing, but I'm gonna look for Elijah Lawson going against Drones, the quarterback, because he's definitely been our spy. We've been rushing 3. We've been having him standing up over a lineman, either a guard or tackle, and he's been the guy watching and spying. He's gotten 3 sacks on the year so far doing that. VT, they're going to try the QB draws. They're going to try to go ahead and send guys on vertical routes, get people downfield, and get their quarterback to take off. Can move these chains. So I'm gonna be looking about how we go about spying the quarterback. We've used Kiko Mauanoa in that role as well to success. Chase Smith has had a couple of successful snaps in that role this year. So I'm going to look about how we spy the quarterback, because I know for sure Coach Guidry's not going to let you just kill him with your legs. That's just not something he's going to be willing to give up. He's not going to be happy about it. He has no intention of giving up anything, but single blade of grass. So that's the matchup I'll be looking for, just because right now he's not clicking as a passer. So what's been working for him is his legs. So I would like to see, how we combat that.
Yeah, and I talked about the pass protection, but at the end of the day, Virginia Tech's rush defense is 104th in the country right now. So Miami's got to be able to move that line of scrimmage in the run game, to me, because look, you talked about it. I expect the run game to be perfectly fine as the season goes on. They haven't necessarily had to lean on it very much, Steve-O, but I think tonight the numbers show they should be able to do what they want to do in the run game.
Yeah, I mean, tonight is the night. They're really not that good at defense against the run, and that's just like being nice about it. If you're past the hundreds in any category, I mean, that's borderline trash. If not just full trash. So let's just call it what it is. We should be able to run the football on them, but it's an attitude. I'm not calling out a guy, but I would love to see Inez Cooper, drive somebody 5-7 yards downfield. That's what I'm waiting for. He's been excellent in pass protection, and he's been, excellent in the situational running. But I'm willing to see, this is his 3rd year. I want to see that. I want to see that, longest yard or, crazy, ridiculous, blind side block where, he's putting somebody in, in the locker room, something like that. Challenge him, Francis, he's been playing lights out, continue to challenge him to step his game up. Carpenter, he's been excellent. But I would love to see some of these guys just make a highlight reel play in the trenches, something that, when there's a big play and everybody's like, oh, celebrating the guy scoring the touchdown, there's always that one guy like me who's going to clip and be like, look at this block. And then, get the Canes fans going. So hopefully we see some of that stuff. Like, last year, the Brashard Smith reverse touchdown where Francis was downfield 30-40 yards, knocking a DB over. And everybody's like, oh, my God. That's the type of play I'm waiting to see from an offensive lineman, because I just want that nastiness. This is the game to do it.
Right.
I can't wait for it.
Question here, or not a question, but Jake Wynn makes the observation. Tootin, so Bashul Tootin, the running back at Virginia Tech, is a big, powerful back. I was impressed with him watching him this week. 5.8 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns already this season. So, Steve-O, what did you see when you watched him?
Really good pad level. He's bouncing off stuff, man. You want to hit him. You got to hit him with all your intention. You can't go out there and stick an arm out and think that's going to do anything. You got to be square. You have to be your keys and helmet to the side, football. Like he's a true running back. I like players like this, people who make game-winning plays. He's going to keep you ahead of the chains. He's going to get you in second and 5s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, manageable situations. And then, he does have the speed to break 20, 30 yards. He's not a home run hitter, but man, that pad level runs behind his pads. I like players like that. That's old school football. There's going to be some pads clacking tonight to get him on the ground because he runs hard.
Lyle needs more reps, period. I want to see him with the most carries tonight, bagging up for us. And you got a big smile on your face, man. The Broward love, man. The Broward love. You've been
hey, I would love it.
For a while.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to politic too much, but I would love for that to happen. I don't think it would happen, but I would love for it to. I think if anybody's earning reps in a loaded room, it's definitely Lyle and what he's done in pass protection so far this year, which has got him on the field early in his career here at Miami. But then showing, the patience to press the hole and then make that cut, and then the speed. He was at 21.76 miles per hour down the sideline, longest run from scrimmage in Miami history. So I definitely think he's earned more carries and burn. So maybe when they go 2 running back sets, he'll get some more burn. But I don't know if he's going to get the most carries, dog. Damian Martinez is a monster, bro. His big time carries are coming. And then Canes fans will be like, oh, yeah, he's that guy, just like they thought he was when he coming in. So, and also Mark, it's hard, bro. It's hard, but I would love it, but it ain't happening.
All right, guys, I'm going to sign out. D-Money's going to take my spot here in the seat, and he's going to take the mic over since he hasn't been able to figure this situation out here. So go Canes. The show is going to keep going on here for a bit as D's going to hop on. Steveo, appreciate your time. You're going to be joining now with D, but appreciate the conversation with you, and go Canes.
Yes, sir. I'll catch you over there, fam.
All right, cool.
What's going on? Sorry about that, fellas. Been on a flight from New York. Just got here. It's been a nightmare since I landed, but that's not a sign or an omen because hurricane's coming too. Hard Rock. Steve, how we doing?
Doing good. I'm fired up. Game day, birthday weekend. We always perform pretty good on these. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. What's the birthday plan after this win?
Review. Get the film out, and then relax, have some barbecue, stuff like that. I'm Sunday, so hopefully the Dolphins don't ruin it, but we'll be a good weekend. Yeah,
I'm not too optimistic about that one, but definitely optimistic about this one.
So Steve, starting that quarterback, a little bit more optimistic now.
Listen, I know you talked about the two high safety look. Obviously Miami scoring that long touchdown of Sam Brown when they got into cover 2. I'm expecting Virginia Tech to try to play the run just because watching them on film, I was taken aback by, and tell me if you disagree, but I was taken aback by how bad their tackling was. Just kind of a lack of size up front. I don't think they can stop the run unless they commit an extra man in there. So, I mean, first of all, do you agree with that? And if so, how do you attack, a stacked box like we might see from Virginia Tech?
Yeah, but my thing is, I do think they'll probably try to play more back and a more bend don't break because they try to put that guy in the box versus Rutgers. They try to put that guy in the box. If you look at their losses this year, Rutgers played out physical them, all game long. And you look at it was. I can't believe it was Rutgers and who their first loss.
Vanderbilt.
What happened?
Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah, Vanderbilt. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And Vanderbilt was playing tough against Missouri. Like they bullied them. And Virginia Tech was putting more resources inside to stop the run, and it did not work. So I think they'll probably try to go to more of a bend don't break, and then hey, maybe we could stop the run, closer from the 40 in. And then, we'll use the resources there. So that would be my opinion of how they would, try to defend us, just because adding extra man hasn't helped at all. So if you add an extra man, it's not helping. And then they still just throw it over your head. You're just literally playing lose-lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing with Brent Pry, defensive coordinator, becoming head coach 3 years in. There's a team that's known for tackling historically since I've been a kid. They've been good tacklers. So I was just surprised that, I mean, you're saying even with an extra man in the box, they're still not going to stop the run. I mean, it's amazing. We're talking about Virginia Tech program. But in terms of the cornerbacks that Virginia Tech's dealing with, these guys have gotten some NFL buzz. They have some length. Virginia Tech's been a very good corner factory. Do you think it's a situation where, like you said, they just play off, or are they going to be are they going to take some more chances given that, they got more talent outside than maybe they have at other positions?
this is how I would play it. I would probably have somebody help over the top and allow those guys to, be more physical at the line of scrimmage, try to disrupt some timing. Because if you're not going to, they're obviously going to expect their pass rush to get there eventually. I mean, they're a pretty good pass rush. They're top 10. So even with our, highly graded offensive line, they're going to expect their defense, line to play a factor. So go over there. You got help over the top. Let these corners, play free, play, aggressive. I think they're going to get cooked at the line of scrimmage if they play a man. So I would really, really love to see them do that. But I do expect a little bit more off, maybe soft man, 3-4 yards down. How they guard X, is going to determine it. Are they going to use one of those safeties to bracket him? So even if they're playing two high safeties, one of those guys are going to follow X everywhere he goes, which is how most teams have been defending him. So that'll open up, more shots to the, wide side of the boundary, if they have a safety bracket in X, because, whoever's next to him, either to be Jacoby, Sam Brown, or Horton, if that safety's, standing over him and he's in the inside middle of the field, that means it's a one-on-one situation with one of those, NFL prospects at corner, which I do not think could stop us.
All right, real quick, and talk about a different sport for a minute, which is Canes basketball. The basketball season is almost here. You got stacked men's and women's schedules, epic matchups against Duke, Florida State, Virginia at the Wasco Center, plus the ACC SEC Challenge against Coach Calipari and Arkansas. Don't miss a minute. Grab your season tickets, MiamiHurricanes.com/hoops tickets. Plus the women's team, we got the Cavender twins. Steve, I know you know all about that. They're hosting FSU, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, UNC, and SMU. Grab your season tickets, MiamiHurricanes.com/hoops tickets. That's MiamiHurricanes.com/hoops tickets. Pat the Wasco Center. Go Canes. So that's down the road. It's gonna be a good athletic season in general with the way the basketball's shaping up. But obviously, first things first, packing the rock. Red zone. Miami's been very good there. It's been a focus, and certainly they've delivered. Been able to run the ball in the red zone, put it in really in the deep red zone. They've been able to run that in with no problem. You saw the fullback with Elijah Loft and all the stuff they were doing. You heard Dawson say they're going to open up the playbook a little bit. When I hear that, or that they haven't shown that much yet and there's more meat on the bone, I'm thinking red zone tricks, so kind of like we saw against Texas A&M last year, where really Dawson busted out some of his best plays there in the red zone. We got tight ends that are all able to catch the ball and do things in the blocking game. In terms of layers to this offense that you haven't seen, let's start in the red zone, that you think we might have some opportunities to dust off.
Diversity in the running game. I think you might see some quick pitches, more stretches, more getting to the edge, things like that. We really had more of a plain, inside zone read, type of inside zone, running game. I definitely think we diversify that a little bit, and that means we might go a little bit of gap, might go a little bit of zone. The blocking schemes are going to change. We've seen, every year Mario Cristobal has been here. Obviously, we had to dumb it down a little bit his first year, but last year we were very sophisticated. We would run multiple blocking schemes. You never knew what was coming as a defensive lineman. Hey, do I want to try to shoot this gap? Because if I do, I might be giving up a big one. So you definitely want to give put that in their mind. But obviously, when it comes to red zone, there's one thing I think will start coming is throw the fade, man. Please. We threw two yesterday. It's not a high percentage. It's not a high percentage play. I get it. Trust me. But when you're throwing the fade to Xavier Restrepo and Isaiah Horton, and they're coming down with it and they're on fire all game, man, I just hope we see more fade balls. That's not a high percentage, and I wouldn't call it if I was OC and I was, my job was on the line, or people are going to talk about me online after. But man, I would really love to see more fade balls thrown.
Yeah, and that's one of Cam's best throws as far as throwing the football. I know you did a video before the season highlighting those 50-50 balls, which I think, we haven't actually seen that much of, where he throws that kind of, whether it's in the red zone or down the field, that fading ball when he's able to, kind of guide the receiver to the sideline. I know we saw it to Horton against Florida when he had the Pahokee kid Jackson lined up on him. But you talked about that a lot before the season. I thought that was one of your best breakdowns. And I think that's something we might be seeing down the road as far as that particular throw. What do you mean when you said that Cam's the best 50-50 thrower that you saw?
It's about ball placement. So, if you're going deep on a ball and, and the defender has good coverage, you're aiming for this shoulder, your inside shoulder, and it's just literally turn around. Pop. That's literally what you're aiming for. You just literally turn around and bang. And there's nothing the defensive back can do. because they're just running like this. The best thing they can do is either try to face guard, or is they're going to hit you and it's going to be a penalty. But it's pretty impressive, his thing. We saw when the touchdown to Restrepo versus USF was a back shoulder throw on a little fade route, basically a rub and fade. So great ball placement there. That was great coverage. The ball was away. X was able to catch it, full extension from his body, get both feet in bounds. He threw one to Horton, which unfortunately for the third time, a touchdown has been reversed for Horton this year. He's been a big play threat. We're going to continue to have to get him the ball, but great, excellent back shoulder throws. And it's just because, as a defender, there's nothing you could do. It's either, are they going to play pitch and catch or not? And we have the guys that can play pitch and catch.
In terms of the splits, now that was something, you mentioned the diversity in the in the running game, which I think we're talking about the running game, right? There's the extra man in the box. There's the lack of diversity, which you talked about, maybe getting something more going outside with a stretch. The splits have been very, very tight this year, especially when you look at a team like USF and the splits are so wide, really accentuates how tight ours are. Why do you think we've gone to such tight splits? And what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of doing so?
I mean, I personally like tight splits because it allows, for you to bring your receivers in and there's a lot of commotion, if you're a defensive back, let's say you're at safety, you're at 12 yards, right? And all 11 people are right there in your line of vision, and one's going this way, pre-snap motion, one's going this way. Then, as soon as that ball snap, you have O-lineman coming here. There's just so much to digest, and one mistake, and then someone's behind you. So I like tight sets, and especially with the offensive line and receivers and tight ends that we have, everybody can block. No one's a weak link. There's not one person there that you said, hey, they're blocking suspect. So everybody can block. It could be a throw or pass anytime. And the manufacturer's free releases. Like you have Xavier Restrepo behind the tight end, when a guy's going to pray for his life when he's in off man coverage, because now he can run up there. He can do whatever he wants to do with them. He has all the time in the world, space in the world. So I like the tight splits. Some of the disadvantages are if you miss a pass protection, you're going to give up a free hit. If there's a mistake, we've seen that this year. FAMU, we gave up one, in the tight split where Cam got hit from the blind side. So that's the disadvantage of it sometimes, because now everybody's so tight in close. That means the defenders are tighter and closer to your quarterback as well. So if there's a mishap in pass protection, that's something that you can look forward to not seeing.
Yeah, and I know we haven't seen one. I think would be an advantage of tight splits is when you're dealing with games, you're dealing with stunts and everything else. Everybody's so close together. It's easier to pass people off. You don't have that much room to give something up inside if you're not communicating properly. You're closer, so you can pick it up better. I guess that one of the disadvantages probably too is in the running game, right? You got guys closer to the ball. The gaps are tighter. You got to go against a bigger offensive line, which I don't think is going to be as much of a problem or bigger defensive line, which I don't think is going to be as much of a problem this week. It can get pretty jammed up, right, if you're not blowing guys off the ball.
Yeah, that's true. If you're not blowing guys off the ball, that's when it comes down to. We've seen Matthew McCoy get some drive. We've seen all these guys individually get some drive. The continuity obviously isn't like last year that all five started the entire season. The continuity already changed game one where you got, Markel Bell inserted in the lineup. Matthew McCoy, him and Ryan Rodriguez, Ryan Rodriguez started Florida, but they went drive for drive, that entire game. That tells you that competition is live and well. So there's definitely going to be some time to gel, but all five of them have to show that what they've shown individually blocking the run game, that they could gel and do it, over a course of a game. And we could feed a bell cow back like Damian Martinez. I don't expect for him to be, get a 30 carry game, but he can get a 15 carry game, and put up 150 plus yards. Like that's the game we're waiting for.
Obviously, the man of the hour here is Cam Ward. This place is packed. You have the Miami Hurricane team, so there's people walking every second. One of the big reasons you have the Cam Ward #1 jersey, adult and youth sizes, is available now. I'm dropping the link here in the chat. MiamiHTS.com. Also, the store right here next to the university. Hey, Pete, grab me one of those Cam Ward replicas. I'm going to put this one up here. But obviously, Steveo, Cam Ward has been the focus. I saw Mike Greenberg from ESPN talking about that. He's talking to execs, and they're saying early first round. That's what they're looking at for him. He's the Heisman odds leader. It's been pretty perfect for him. He hasn't been touched. Do you expect to see more pressure on Cam Ward? Because we really, between Florida, USF, two of the worst pass rushes in the nation last year. Ball State, FAMU, they're not doing anything. Do you see more pressure on Cam Ward in this game, given the opponent.
Yeah, I would expect so. And, this is just a step up in competition. We're playing, a top 10 team in the nation when it comes to pass rushing and sacks and stuff. So, yeah, I would expect more. But, as you open up the playbook, there might be some of these plays that we're going to that Cam Ward feels very confident about, Cam Ward loves. So we'll see how he gets the football out with that. So he's done a great job of not extending so much like he was doing versus UF. Like USF, he was taking exactly what the defense was giving him. He didn't have to extend. So if he's playing that type of game, I don't think he'll be hit that much. But I definitely think the rush will get there. It's definitely speeding up the clock in the pocket for sure, because it's just a step up in competition. It is what it is. Regardless of how our offensive line performs, they have a really good defensive lineman. They're going to make plays. You got to speed up your clock. It might not be, he missed a couple throws versus USF where I thought, he got some pressure, and the pressure definitely did affect him. It was the one with the wheel route with the Xavier Restrepo going downfield, had, almost a hand in his face immediately, on that snap. So we're going to see stuff like that. And, just going to have to continue to, chop the wood and all that cohesiveness from the O-line. I think Jalen Rivers, has a good chance to play today. Even if he doesn't, got to get that job done.
Here's the jersey right here, the Cam Ward replica. They're flying off the shelves. I mean, this place is packed. So, come down to Miami. Yeah, it's insane right now. Miami Hurricane teams from MiamiHTS.com, and you can come by in person. Again, this place is rolling right now. But, Steve, I know you talked a little bit about Jordan Lyle and Mark Fletcher. Broward guys, of course, that close to your heart. One thing I think people might undersell with Fletcher, and look, Lyle's good at this too, but I think really with Fletcher is the impact he makes in the passing game as a pass protector, being 235 pounds, so as aggressive as he is and as smart and aware as he is. I mean, you as someone who watches offenses closely, how important is it, how much advantage is it to have a pass protecting back who is basically a tight end?
Yeah, one of the advantages is, one, it tells you that you have a good culture, because being a good pass protector means you're a selfless player. You know what I'm saying? Mostly you're putting your body on the line, everything on the line to protect your quarterback. You're a selfless player. But when you have somebody at that size, who's around 230 pounds, and you can go against a blitzing linebacker, an untouched linebacker, full speed, and meet him in the hole, and it not be just a disadvantage, or an advantage for them, it's huge. And then also his ability to block and then leak late and catch the football and make plays, make the first guy miss. He has solid hands, had a lot of catches at American Heritage later in his career, and he's already had a few catches this year, a couple that have gone for first down. He has a little stutter and go move he's been working on that he's been using this season, get guys and get to the edge. But it's super important, because then that allows Cam Ward to, hey, I know Mark's next to me. He's going to step up. It don't matter, if it's a defensive tackle that's coming in free. Like, I know he can hold that his own until I get rid of this football. So it's a lot. Obviously, it helps as a play caller. When you have Mark in, you're going to think, okay, hey, man, like, I could call up a shot right now where Cam Ward might have to hold that ball 3 ticks and then let go. But I have trust in my running back to make sure he's going to be able to make that throw.
The most similar player to Fletcher might be a guy who plays a different position, which is Elijah Lofton, where he's almost like an offensive weapon as much as he is just, in his case, a tight end or a running back. Similar size, he can block, he can run, has extra ability to run routes and catch the ball. How do you see – we've seen Lofton play key minutes or key snaps, the first 4 games. What are some things that you still can do that had not been done with a guy like Lofton that can block, lead block, have collisions, pass protect, run routes, catch and run?
So obviously, Canes fan, we've seen him at lineup at traditional running back, catch the rock. We've now seen him going downfield on wheel routes. We've seen him in the blocking game. We've seen him in the quick dumping game. He's gotten a couple of screens, stuff like that. To be honest, my probably the next step of his game, and that's going to be, people might think about the Dan Enos terrible play call, on the goal line with the tight end pop pass, the tight end, jet sweep. But that's what's next. I mean, just get this kid the football. I'm a fan of jet sweeps, and because I feel like if you're a traditional runner, if you're just natural runner, you're going to make that first cut, and that's what makes those plays. We've seen, Jacoby George have a lot of, successful plays like that because he makes that first cut. So I would love to see him. I was obviously watching that Central game very closely when he ran for 4 touchdowns versus them at Bishop Gorman. I like him with the ball in his hands. Just let him pick and navigate what it is. That's really left to see from him. That's it. I mean, he's done everything. He's gone vertical. He's gone underneath. Maybe more of a security blanket. Maybe when he starts running routes within the route tree, and they're not just when he gets in there, I could see that there's kind of like an effort to get him the ball. He's getting those short touches, he's getting here, he's getting there, where they're calling shot plays for him versus man coverage. But when it comes to zone, him settling down in the zone, finding open spots, using his body in the middle of the field, that's going to help him evolve as a player and with more snaps. But, for right now, definitely want to see him maybe get some more manufactured touches like jet sweeps, pop passes, stuff like that, because he's a Mack truck. I don't care that he's 250 pounds. He's a speedster.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw him in that second scrimmage in spring. He put about 150 running the ball against our first team, including some long runs. We haven't even seen the route running. This is not just some guy who out-athletes people when he's out there wide. He can run routes. He can get in and out. So I'm excited to see what he can do. One conversation we had in the group chat, I wanted to bring it to here. You did the big study on Emry Williams. I heard Pete plugging it right on your YouTube channel. If anyone hasn't seen it, check that out. Cam Ward's healthy. Don't read this the wrong way. This is just a group chat hypothetical that I'm bringing out here. But Steveo, do you think that Miami could win the ACC with Emry Williams?
I know the Canes fans would be like, man, you're a homer if you say stuff like that. But I really feel like Emry could just not wreck the ship. Like I don't see Emry making a catastrophic mistake. I feel like with this team is so good that you just gotta not mess up. I trust Emry to do that. Like honestly, I really do. I trust Emry to go in there and just distribute the football to the open guy. He could have had some times, earlier in that game versus Ball State when he first got in where he could have took a shot or two. He made the correct reads, just got the ball, moved it. And as he settled into the game, then he saw the deep shots, one to Ray, one to Lofton that we talked about already for a touchdown. So I would say, yeah. And it was just because I don't think he'll make any mistake. And I do think then we would focus more on that run game identity like we did with him versus Clemson. And, he then let him play action, let him do quick throws, let him have all these options. This is Emry Williams with the Sam Brown, Jacoby George, Xavier Williams, Isaiah Horton, a Chris Johnson out the backfield, Mark Fletcher, Damian Martinez, Jordan Lyle. This is the Emry with Elijah Arroyo. That's you have a Riley Williams, a 6'7" tight end. I mean, who could be a better friend to a young quarterback than a 6'7" tight end? So I definitely think he would have everything he would need to just not wreck the season. So yeah, I would say yeah. And I'm not going to say he's going to win the Heisman. He's going to light it up like Cam Ward, but he's going to have those games where it's like, damn, he was like 23 out of 26. He's super efficient. I could expect those type of games out of him. Just get the ball to your playmakers, let them go, and then play hard defense. I think Coach Guidry is the best in the country when it comes to adjusting and having his teams prepared for what the teams fall back to when they have new stuff that doesn't work. So yeah, I would say we could win the ACC with him. ACC championship game, obviously he's going to have to make plays. He's not going to just be able to manufacture and be a product of the system like might have been to get there. But yeah, I would say yeah. You can call me a homer, but I believe in Emry.
Look, I mean, he beat Clemson last year. Obviously, Clemson's gotten better, but Miami has gotten better, and Emory's gotten better. So I don't think it's outlandish. Again, Cam is healthy. Don't freak out anybody. This was just a conversation we had offline, and I know you dug deep into Emry on your video review, which is available at 365 Canes Football. So I wanted to just bring that up. One of my favorite players on the team, we talked about all off season. I know you like him as well, which is Jaden Harris. He plays so fast, full speed, almost reckless, usually for the good. Last week we saw in that screenplay to USF, he came screaming in and missed the running back. The running back went for a big play. You as an offensive player, do you prefer a guy who at that particular position, the safety position, who is just flying to the ball, playing, I'll say reckless, but playing on the edge of reckless, fast and physical, or more of a cautious player, given that they're the last line defense? Because I mean, I kind of go both ways on it.
Yeah, it really depends, in situations like, you usually don't really like to, when you're looking at tendencies, you have to respect the tendencies. So if you have a player that you think is quick to pull the trigger a little bit, you might be excited for that double move. You might try to, get some stuff like that. But honestly, never really thought of it like that. Hey, do I prefer a guy who's going to be more cautious? I want a guy to come up and play because I want to bomb you. So I don't want you 30 yards downfield still pedaling. So yeah, maybe I would prefer the reckless guy who's going to run and play. And if I'm a defensive player, I would definitely prefer my teammate to be the reckless guy, even if you're making that or borderline reckless guy. Because even if you're making that mistake, he's going to make it 150%.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that play on replay, watched it in the stadium. I mean, he was definitely screwing in there, but it's like, how do you don't want to change the type of player he is, because truthfully, before the season, I thought we needed a tone-setting player on defense in the back end, kind of like we had with Jaquan Johnson a few years ago. We've been lacking a little bit of that, to me, that tone setter, which some of these good teams have, and Jaden Harris has really stepped up into that role. Deani Hill, guy from Marshall, played a lot last week. You saw some speed, you saw some tackling. What do you see from him? I know you studied him before the season as well. Like, what do you see from him going forward with Damari Brown still on the shelf for a little bit?
I see a very, very nice potential for having a group where you could smother people in man coverage. OJ Frederick is a man coverage guy. He's a man-to-man corner. Daryl Porter, as everybody in the country has learned, he's a man-to-man guy. Now you see Deani Hill come in, and he performs really well in man-to-man coverage. So I think with that group, you have a really good mix. Obviously, we have Jadaeus Richard as well, but with Deani Hill coming in and being able to, Jadaeus Richard has done really well with guys with size on the outside. Commend him, even with big slots, tight ends in the middle. But you have these receivers that are, quick, shifty, trying to get these moves, trying to get these releases. And Deani Hill has that rabbit-like quickness, that jackrabbit, twitch. I really like his footwork. They're firing off the ball. He has really good hand placement. When you're looking at his film, honestly, he plays the right way. And this makes me very happy because he was developed by Coach Chevis Jackson. So if he's coming in here, he's playing great technique, he's doing this, we know that's where he got it from. He was coached up. And then Coach Guidry wanted him in his secondary. Coach Guidry is very hands-on with his secondary. He's a safeties coach naturally, defensive backs coach, a great one. So they both signed off on him, and he coming in, seeing him. He obviously, when he has some injuries late in camp, you coming in and you're kind of playing catch up or chasing, as players and staff say, and you're still playing this well. He's not even at his peak yet. We might see the best of Deani Hill probably week 5, week 6, week 7, as he gets fully into it. But love his hand places, his technique, his zone coverage is really good. But his man coverage has stood out to me, and it's a great technique, great hand placement, patience at the line of scrimmage. I see him moving forward where, it's going to be hard for him not to continue to take snaps, take starts. I mean, I think even when Damari comes back, he might have to, earn that role coming off the bench for him.
Let me ask you about a guy that is not on the team right now, but his midseason highlight came out. You coached him, you know him very well, which is Bryce Fitzgerald out of Columbus, a future addition to the secondary. I mean, watching his highlight and having seen him play up close, guy's got to be at least top 3 athlete in the state of Florida, returning kicks, receiver, great ball skills, returning it. I still have not seen one tackle in his highlight reel. I've seen like 5 of them. So a guy like that, I know he's practiced some corner as well. Obviously, safety's his bread and butter from a ranging standpoint. The physicality is the question mark. He can't play receiver too. How would you use a guy like Bryce Fitzgerald, having coached him?
I not to spoil it, but he's gonna play corner at Miami. To be honest with you, obviously he plays for Raw 7-on-7. I think he's gonna play corner at Miami. He's definitely a top 2, not 2 athlete in the state. Like, I'm sorry, but his frame, athleticism, he's so juiced up. He's the only player to really play both ways consistently for Raw. Like, I'm sorry, and it's 7-on-7, so I'm not putting crazy stock in it, but we're loaded with guys, and he could play both ways. He's taking snaps away from, number 1 safety in the country, in the class ahead of him. So he's super like that. I would use him at corner. He's played a lot of corner this year. They still put him at safety when need be. I saw him versus St. Thomas, versus my little brother. He had an interception, caught our quarterback slipping, baited him, came from the opposite hash, typical Bryce fashion, very juiced up, twitched up. He's going to come from that opposite hash, and you're going to be like, oh my God, where did he come from? He's that type of guy. But he could very much play receiver at Miami, to be honest with you. They woke up one day and said, hey, you want to score touchdowns for us? He's going to say, yeah, let's do it. And they're going to go ahead, and his face is going to light up because he is excellent at the line of scrimmage as a receiver. juiced up, has deep speed, probably the best ball skills in the area, to be honest with you. That's why he has so much interceptions, because he doesn't drop anything. Really sticky hands. I've seen him make catches with like this much space between the turf, and great awareness is going to pluck it up behind his head. I mean, I've seen some very special things out of Bryce Fitzgerald. That's a young man that I think has a super high future and a very high character. When it comes to physicality, he does need to, put that more on tape, but same time, we were running that ball on him, so I was happy to see him make a couple tackles that he needed to make, because even though he was at safety, we had Chance Washington a couple times break. He made 2 one-on-one tackles in the hole, so I took that as a step forward.
Beautiful. Now, getting back to this game, we're going to talk about the Beacon Adjusters Player of the Game, our picks for the Beacon Adjusters Player of the Game. First, want to talk about Beacon Adjusters. We lead in your time of need. Obviously, Hurricane Helene, I hope I'm saying that right, has been in the papers. Some of you has been affected. Praying for everybody that is in the path of the hurricane. But if your property has been affected by the hurricane, Beacon Adjusters Group is here to help. With years of experience handling storm-related damage, we work tirelessly to ensure you get the compensation you deserve. From assessment to settlement, our team of trusted experts will guide your every step of the way. Don't face the aftermath alone. Let Beacon Adjusters Group restore your peace of mind. Call us today. Obviously, important people to know at this time. Don't let yourself get shortchanged. Beacon Adjusters lead in your time of need. All right. So the Beacon Adjusters Player of the Game. Look, the game hasn't happened yet, so this is projection. But sometimes we speak things into existence. I know Pete called your boy Jacoby George getting out of the funk a couple games ago when he had the 100-yard game. So I'll kick to you in a second. To me, my projected Beacon Adjusters Player of the Game, Damian Martinez. Just watching Virginia Tech and what I saw to be a lack of physicality on film, I just think a guy like Martinez is going to expose that lack of physicality, challenge him consistently. And if it's not the first quarter, it's not the second quarter. In that third and fourth quarter, I just don't see them tackling this guy. They had trouble tackling the quarterback for Vanderbilt. And I'm talking about not just getting juked, I'm talking about breaking arm tackles, just really exposing poor tackling in my view. I think a guy like Martinez will be by far the best back that they faced, and he's going to give them some problems. So who do you got for Player of the Game?
I'm going in probably a direction people wouldn't think, but I'm picking between 2 defensive tackles, and I would go Simeon Barrow. I think he's really came on since Ball State, and it was between him and Mesidor, but I think that interior pass rush is going to make and break this game for us, and he's going to lead the way for us.
I love that. That's no quarterback likes that pressure coming up the middle, so that's the quickest way to get some pressure.
And then your outlet is, I'm going to step outside, and Tyler Barron and Elijah Lawson are Alston is out there. So you definitely have nowhere to go.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to Caneville, Streeter X, that whole team. Appreciate you guys jumping in. Make sure you're checking them out if you're not already. I know most of you are. Kane Nation strong right now, man. Got a lot of great content creators, including the man sitting next to me virtually here, Mr. Steveo. Tyler Barron, you mentioned him. I saw an article that said, and this was not a Miami article, that had him as a first-round player this year. Now, the transfers and things like that, I think, are going to be scrutinized. That injury that he had in the summer seems very far away. I've seen no effects of that. But who do you see potentially being either a first or a second-round type player that's draft eligible right now? I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but we got 4 games in. Who do you see like, hey, man, this guy, I'm talking about draft eligible guys, not Francis Malinoa, not, Ruben Bain, guys like that. But guys that are draft eligible, they're saying, man, based on how they played, I could see this guy going day 1, day 2.
Yeah, definitely. When you're looking at that, you're projecting. I've seen if you were watching the USF game, when I watched the replay, they're talking about Elijah Arroyo as a first-round guy. And when you think about prototypical tight ends, when you talk about the size, the speed, the ball skills, he has the blocking ability. Can't nobody say he's not a premier blocker. He's a great blocker. On top of being a vertical threat, he could also take a little dump-off pass 80 yards to the crib. So he's probably one of that's the direction that the NFL is trending in. He's probably one of the best prototypical NFL tight end right now. If you look at the league right now, what the tight end position has transformed into, I love it for them, and it's fun to watch because these guys are going downfield, they're making big plays, quarterbacks trust them, they're throwing in the middle of the field. It's a great time, right? How do you combat two high safeties? You throw a 6'5" guy out there and, just go up there and get it. So I love that. So I would definitely think Elijah Arroyo would be one to pop. Obviously, I do think Tyler Barron's playing like a first round pick. Another one, honestly, Isaiah Horton, man. I've been telling people about it. Like, I really think he's gonna pop the rest of the year, and he's gonna have a probably like next year as the number one receiver. I told people beforehand I don't think we needed to get another one receiver next year because Isaiah Horton was gonna fill that role. He's showing Canes fans a lot earlier than I thought it would be. That he's gonna be that guy next year for us. So 6'4", 200 pounds, so smooth, man, at the line of scrimmage, man. A lot of guys 6'4", man. I see a lot of guys 6'4". A lot of coaches, they hype these guys up. They're freaks. They're physical. Like what Steve Smith said, maybe at night, but not at the football field. He is a freak on the football field, man. Super smooth, great route running. I've seen him put the work in, man. Coral Gables 45 minutes away from where he's going. Like, he's dedicated, man. He's gonna be a guy. He's gonna be a dude. I could see him being a first round pick, especially with the type of camaraderie and acolytes that's going to come from a type of season where you have Cam Warren at the helm and everybody's eating, and you're going to have the national exposure. I think he'll be set up. And this year he was the only receiver that that's playing so much that wasn't on the Biletnikoff Award watch list. We had Sam Brown, Jacoby, and X on it. I definitely think he's going to be on that list next year. But Bain's not draft eligible yet, Mr. Price.
Yeah. So Bain for sure when he's eligible, and Francis Mauigoa is probably the best prospect on the team. Although Cam Ward, he keeps going. Quarterbacks can go as high as anybody. So I'd say Mauigoa is probably the safest prospect on the team. Bain right there. We have to talk about draft eligible guys. Horton draft eligible. One thing that Steve, I know you were out there practice because I saw we were right next to each other a bunch of times. The guys that to me had a great summer and off season working on their bodies. Those were the guys that were available all camp, available all spring, and playing at a high level throughout that time. Guys that jump out, Arroyo, Restrepo, not the tallest guy, but he's definitely worked on his strength and conditioning. He's always in good shape, but now you see him faster and stronger. And then Horton, right? And look, Tyler Barron wasn't here at Miami, but you could tell the guy, not only is he a genetic specimen, the guy's worked hard. You see him running down the field, chasing guys down. The strength and conditioning aspect, and Steve, talk to me about this as a receiver, because to me, one thing that right now maybe separates a Sam Brown from a Horton or a Restrepo is definitely an athletic ability, because he's the best athlete of that crew. But I do think that the physical strength of 7 and 2 are helping them. Not say they're better or worse, because it's a long season. These guys are all going to make their share of plays. But it seems to me right now, the strength, at least in the USF game, the physical strength, legs and body of Isaiah Horton and Restrepo is making a big difference for him.
Yeah, it does, because it does in different ways. Xavier Restrepo is able to run through, minimal contact. He's able to make the first man miss consistently. That strength, he turns into a running back when he has the football. He's one of the best in the country with yards after the catch. And, Horton had some opportunities last week, and he was showing that he's a tough tackle, because, again, when you talk about 6'4", 200, he can run and do all that. And then, hey, you got to get him to the ground. That's a big guy to get down to the ground. And he's running behind his pads. He's running with attitude. He's been waiting on this opportunity 3 years. He think he's just going to go down? Nah, he's trying to go all the way, rightfully so. So their physicality for sure, I think is showing. Well, I don't know if it's for better than what Sam Brown is showing. I just think Sam Brown, his element was supposed to be that deep ball threat. And him blowing the top off versus USF, I think maybe that would go, because you have all these guys that are, Horton and Restrepo are beating these guys up all game, physically beating them up, but they're also, mentally beating them up because they're going crazy at the line of scrimmage and you can't cover them. And so now these guys are physically worn out, they're mentally worn out. Now you just got Sam Brown lined up, and before you blink, he's behind you. I think it will be more of like a compliment to the core, that we can rely on Horton and Xavier Restrepo's physicality, and then we can have that speed demon in Sam Brown, and then just the all-around athlete who's super smooth in Jacoby George, who brings that speed element as well. I think it just complements the room, and right now we're definitely leaning on some of that physicality.
Yeah, in terms of speed element, nobody better than your boy from Broward County, Chris Johnson. Obviously, the timing was a little off there on that underthrow last week. I think Cam's learning quick. You can't underthrow this dude. You can't throw it earlier enough. But what are some of the different ways that you you as someone who really studies offense, we try to get this guy involved.
Spoiler, if that USF catch would have been completed, there would have been a video on CIS about it. So I already have pretty much 5 minutes already cut up about Chris Johnson in and out the backfield as a receiver threat. So I'm actually very excited for this question. I think that's the next step, is him vertically move, going downfield on a linebacker, on the outside is one thing. We tried that, but what's next is honestly motioning him from the slot to the backfield, or from the vice versa, from the backfield to the slot, and hitting that deep post. I mean, when it comes time that these guys start doing two safeties because they have to, Chris Johnson is going to split those two safeties, and Cam Ward is going to throw it as far as he can within like 3 seconds, and it's going to be one of these. Chris Johnson played receiver most of his life. I've seen it. You can't cover him. He's super fast. He's doing great working as a running back. They're developing him at a high level. But as of right now, his role is to be that weapon that they could throw the ball to, whether it's a quick screen, whether it's a quick dump off, or going downfield. I definitely think that's just the next aspect of it. And Cam Ward is different speed. You got one hit. Maybe that's all the time you have to get that ball out in front of a guy like Chris Johnson, because you got a free release. I mean, he might even run faster than a 4.2, man. Not even trying to glaze. He's just extremely fast. And it's always like, he never looks like he's trying. I know Canes fans, you can't really see his face because he has a helmet on. But have you ever been there when he's running track? It's like it's so effortless. Like he's just picking up speed. And it's like, oh, the ball's over there. Okay, let me just go a little faster. All right, let me slow down. The ball's over there now. Let me slow down. Like he's like a superhero speed, man. It's crazy.
By the way, a great comment here by Willie Little, and I look forward to that video, by the way. Hopefully we bust something out this today here, tonight in the game, and you could crank it out tomorrow morning. But here we go. We got Sam Brown, Willie Little on Sam Brown. His blocking very physical. It's true. Listen, I'm a Sam Brown fan, and people said I was making excuses for him talking about his blocking in the past, because I think the effort is there. He missed some time with an illness during camp. I think that set him back. So I think he's going to have his moment. Athletically, he's the best of the crew. I just, one point I want to make, and Steve, this is one of my kind of pet theories, and you, as who knows way more about receiver than I do and coach the position, I want to see what you think about this. But lately, I've really become of the viewpoint that the most underrated thing with the receiver, besides intangibles, which to me is you have to have intangibles at that position because you work by yourself so much, is physical strength at receiver. I think we always focus on speed and 40s at receiver, but we don't focus enough on conditioning, physical strength, body strength, leg strength, core strength. And if you look at, I'm just pulling up right here, these are the top receivers last year in the NFL. So Tyreek Hill, we know how strong he is. He's short, but he's strong. CeeDee Lamb, wiry, strong. Amon-Ra St. Brown, his dad was Mr. Universe. Puka Nacua, strong. A.J. Brown, he just mentioned, number 5, strong. DJ Moore, he's like a running back. Brandon Ayuk, another strong receiver. Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper's a big dude. Keenan Allen's a big dude. Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman. So I just gave you 14 guys. I mean, which one of those guys would you say is not physically strong, as in a particular way? Most of those guys are plus strength, where you say these guys are extra strong.
Yeah, it's plus strength. And when it comes to just, you're not just looking at guys, how jacked they are. It's, play strength. You have to fight off press coverage. These guys are shooting at your chest for 60 minutes, bro. Like, you got a target right here that they're shooting at all game. And you have to knock and swipe and hit off. And then when you think it's at the line of scrimmage, that's the only time. Every time I stack a defensive back or you stack a defensive, you get this tug right here. And you got to chicken wing them. You got to get them off. And you're hand fighting, you're checking. Man, it's not just about strength like, I could bench press. It's just, man, you have to do that for 4 quarters, bro. And then those are NFL guys. That means they're doing it against other grown men aside from them. Like, the play strength is, and then, you have to fight through that. You have to be able to block and hold up on the edge as well. I mean, play strength is huge at the receiver position, especially, your conditioning. Okay, you haven't gotten that deep ball game. You've been running it. Now you get the look and you're not at full go. Are you going to not get that ball? You need to go over there and make sure you cash in on that opportunity, because you never know when that opportunity coming back at the receiver position. You can't control where the quarterback throws the football. You just have to trust that it was the right place to go. And then, be happy for your brother's success. And then when it's your turn, expect the same. You have to have play strength. It just have to be, because you're never going to play a season at 100%. Your ankle might be a little this, your hand might be a little this, your finger might get caught up when you're in the block, all that type of stuff. You have to have that strength. It's probably the most important thing, because playing receiver is nice when you're just running and catching and stuff like that. But over the course of the game, you're blocking the run game. You're blocking the passes underneath. You're getting hit and you have to get up and absorb that contact. A lot of that times you're hitting the ground. That's the worst part about it. Some of that little pad clack. Yeah, it sounds loud, but the worst part is it when full force hitting the ground. So you have to be able to sustain that for 4 quarters. So play strength, huge for receivers. That's why you see slender guys not play 16, 17 games at the NFL level, even in college, because it's a lot on their bodies. You think about it, Devontae Smith, who is probably one of the more talented players that you've ever seen. But it's a man's game. So you have to manage that workload, and how to manage that successfully is play strength and just building your body. And our strength and conditioning program is second to none. I think you're starting to see that a lot of guys who walked in the door in that 2022 class, like a Wesley Bassink, for example, that you see walking out there now, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and look, a great question here, timely to what we're talking about here. Great comment from D-Rock. He's talking about Jojo Schrader. His blocking's been great when he's in. I want to get more snaps. He's getting snaps with the first team. You've seen that. I think you'll continue to see that today. He's definitely willing. He's definitely blocking. To me, Jojo, and I said this before the season, is Exhibit A on a guy that I think we're not going to see the best of him this year, even close, because when he gains weight, and when he gains some of that strength, some of that core strength, that to me is the biggest thing holding back JoJo. And Steve, I see you. If whenever you got to go, let me know, because we're rolling long. I can go all day until kickoff. But with JoJo, I think he can help us this year. But when that core strength goes up, that play strength goes up, he's someone who he didn't come in here, jacked up. Not everybody has the same path as far as high school and the nutrition and all that. So he's someone, I think, that as he gains more strength, you'll see him. Jeremiah Smith came in strong, so he's already ready to rock. Jojo Trader, to me, seems like a guy that is going to make a huge leap as he gets stronger. Yeah,
for sure, because everything is there. I could see, I don't think it's going to be the same story as Isaiah Horton be in 2 years, and then third year, now you're seeing, oh my God, how good this guy is. I think it's probably going to be more of a next year situation. Like after a freshman year, he's not redshirting. He's going to play more than 4 games. Let's be honest. He's not being on a college campus 5 years anyway. So you'll continue to see him get burned and stuff. But as he gets more play strength, they're going to try to, press him a lot. He's a more slender kid, but he's super smooth at the line of scrimmage. Works out with my boy Pete. Very good at, second level avoidance. You're not going to get hands on him. So he's pretty slick. He's really slick. So that's going to help him. But you can't always rely on that at the next level. You have to be able to fight through some of this stuff. If a guy gets a good thing, you can't just give up to the next route. If Cam Ward's throwing it to that spot, you got to man through that, push through it, and get to that spot, because that's where that ball is going to be. And if you don't get there, they're going to put somebody else in. So I definitely expect him, as he gets that size, to go ahead and add that to his game. But he can get jiggy right now. I'm just saying, if they threw him the ball, I think he'd be very successful. But there's a pecking order, and when it comes, he'll make his play.
And that might be tonight. Again, Steve, I appreciate you joining us. 365 Canes football. Love going in depth on all this stuff with you. That is what you live for. That is what you get on the 365 Canes football channel, on all your social media handles. Nobody does it better than Steve-O. So again, appreciate you. You're going tonight? Am I see you out there?
Yeah, you already know, fam. I'll catch you out there. I'm gonna have another Broward prediction. I don't know if you heard me. Remember with the Jacoby X and Fletcher touchdowns? I'm going OJ's first career interception tonight. Definitely happening. I can see this a tip pass coming. Is going to be super opportunistic, or just them trying him in single man coverage. But it's happening tonight. I'm speaking into existence.
Big night for the 954. Again, best in the business. Steve-O, appreciate you.
Appreciate you for having me, guys. Go Canes Insight.
Go Canes.